Sunshine State of Florida, it's Bell Racer Lauren Boucher. The home of world-famous potatoes, the gem of the mountains, Idaho.
Two half hitch and close.
I'll take two half hitches if you come on, George, you can do it.
Timber hitch.
The things that they do, that they learn during troop meetings and regular campouts, they can put into practice in a group, such as we have gathered here, and practice those skills among their peers and find out who's best at it.
Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening. We've been able to put these three people together, both the victim and the two suspects together Thursday afternoon. From that, we do know they had a confrontation over some money or other things that caused them to get into a fight.
Secretaries in the buildings have really come to us with, I can't really state specifically, but in service with financial secretaries, particularly on the well presented. The board was concerned that the programs would suffer, and of course there was a lot of real interest in Southeast remaining open, as you could see from the various meetings and so forth. But I think the board felt that rather than crowd the schools, that they'd rather back off of that.
But we showed it can be done. Thank you.
Ever since the people spoke, lawmakers have been going through what many call a nightmare, trying to write Oklahoma's new liquor laws. Today, a Senate committee studying the issue finally came up with a working draft. The plan proposes a number of changes, but most importantly, it sets up the procedure counties must follow to have liquor by the drink elections. It permits the so-called bottle clubs in dry counties. In wet counties, a 10% gross receipts tax will be assessed. Licenses to serve liquor may soon be priced at $2,000, and there are 5 types to choose from. The proposal also establishes provisions for enforcing liquor by the drink. And for those who don't follow the new law, the draft is very clear in showing you how your license may be revoked.
We have an opportunity here to write a new piece of legislation. We're going to have to. That opportunity doesn't come along very often, and we want to do the best job as possible, use common sense, and have an enforceable piece of legislation.
This 100-page draft still has a long road to travel before it comes here to the Senate floor. But at least now the Senate is armed with a plan, a sense of direction for how it wants to write Oklahoma's new liquor laws. At the state capitol, Stephanie Frederick, News 4.
The people of Watonga, Oklahoma welcomed home a hero today, a small man with a big voice. His name is Clarence Nash. 50 years ago, he walked into the Walt Disney Studios in California and became a success. His voice is known to millions as Donald Duck, and he's Watonga's favorite son.
We love you.
Thank you.
What kind of a crazy place is this?
Donald first appeared on the scene in 1934. Clarence was about 20 years old at the time and was just trying to stay employed. He ended up creating a legend.
They had a late story meeting. Walt happened to be hearing while they were having this meeting. He said, "Put that back on. That fellow sounds like a talking duck. Let's get a hold of him." So here is Ted Osborne now. That's the producer of that show. I was on my way out, and he saw me. He said, "Walt heard you that night and was going to look you up."
We just had to meet.
We just had to meet.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Clarence spent most of his day at the Watonga Elementary School, and there was no need for introductions here. To most of these kids, the ageless duck is still a Hollywood star. They call him Clarence Ducky Nash. He made a name for himself in Hollywood with a funny voice. And by the time he left Watonga today, a lot of people were smiling.
I tell you, there have been a few times that I've been having to choke back a few tears. It's just wonderful to be back here. I never in my life ever thought this would happen, and I'm happy.
It's the time of year when feelings are strong. And for these family members and friends of those still missing in Vietnam, that is especially true. For many, it's been 15 years, and still the memories are there. That's why these people are here.
To remember them, to honor them, to pray with them, to share our love for them and with them.
And there are more than memories of just the good times. Cynthia Fanning remembers her husband, Major Michael Fanning, and she remembers the waiting.
And after a certain amount of time goes by, you think, what if I never hear? And you feel that you better do something constructive with your life.
What kind
of? The message here tonight is one of peace, but it's also a story about rebuilding lives, counting blessings, and remembering the missing during a very special time of the year. Dan Slocum, News 4 at Tinker Air Force Base.
This health department inspection team started their asbestos search in an ironic setting. the College of Health building near the Medical Center complex. The inspectors looked in every ceiling, closet, and office room here, trying to find anything that might possibly signal contamination. These men have just gotten their training in asbestos detection, so part of their search includes finding material planted by their teachers. Supervisors wouldn't say whether this material was part of the test, and only laboratory analysis will show if it contains asbestos fibers. The inspectors will take samples of any loose material that crumbles when touched. That makes the search tedious, but department officials say the search for the cancer-causing substance is imperative.
We can't do anything about what's gone in the past. We can't do anything about what has been. We are doing something about what exists now.
Inspectors also say even if they don't find any asbestos, their efforts here won't be wasted. Because after 2 recent discoveries, they say the public needs reassurance that asbestos doesn't hide in every ceiling and wall. Bob Donaldson, News 4.
Thought that might be one way to do it, but they don't think so today.
Who are those people in the situation?
I would expect that they'll pull up all to do what they did last year, but you have to explain this whole thing together, and you've seen what it did. They didn't think they didn't really get that in.
In fire and safety security, I have 2 men per shift to cover this whole grounds, plus a lot of other areas that we can't get to. To lose any people would be very dangerous.
There's a cut of people, it's going to get that much worse.
Yes, we'll run the risk of people being hurt on the job, as well as patients being hurt by other patients.
There was no permanent loan agreement submitted that met the standards underlying the permanent loan commitment that had been set forth in the conditional permit. Instead, a letter on the letterhead of Heartland Mortgage Company Incorporated of Whittier, California.
You mean to the membership, or?
The fact that they cannot totally guarantee the fact that they will.
The vote, I'll say, is very close, and I think it leaves little explanation. They were very saddened by of course in rodeo we don't keep track of records because there's so many.
The board was also persuaded that the city of Las Vegas will offer a new opportunity for the sport of professional rodeo to receive the national media attention which we believe it deserves. The National Finals Rodeo is one of the most exciting events in all of sports, and the board feels that its goal must be to make more people aware of that fact.
I can't describe how anybody else feels. I just know how I feel. Very, very angry. And I hope to catch him.
We went to bed. I know my grandkids, they felt a little scared last night. And just don't seem you know, real. Something like this happen in a small community like this.
Benoski came to OU in 1978. At 42 years old, the youngest president in the university's history. A popular president at OU, Benoski had a major influence during his tenure on academic and physical improvements there. In late summer of 1982, Benoski announced his departure to Los Angeles.
I'm going to a new job. I'm the first man to hold this job. This is not a traditional Chamber of Commerce executive post. I wouldn't have looked twice at it.
But Benoski did look twice at his OU post. 43 days later, he came back to the university in October of '82. And now, just over 2 years later, Benoski leaves again for the Gaylord broadcasting spot. The challenge of the new post reportedly a deciding factor. In the United States.
There's high suspicion at this point that they were both homosexuals, and that this was a result of a homosexual revenge act, perhaps. Robbery could have come along as a second thought, or it could have been one of the motivating reasons. We don't know at this point in time on that. But right now we're going to proceed under the assumption that this was revenge, and we're going to proceed under premeditation rather than the felony murder doctrine because of some of this other information that we've gathered today.
Wait just a moment, sir.
Y'all each grab under each arm and have
He is very positive concerning his condition. He really is. And that is certainly in his favor, and we are behind him 100%.
And the reason I feel we should put it on the bottle, stamp on the bottle, collect it ahead of time, get your money, is that old bill we've been talking about at KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
The sound of frustration at the state capitol as the House Liquor by the Drink Committee tried to finalize its work on the state's new liquor laws. But before the dust could settle, committee members were arguing again over whether wet counties should be wet, dry counties bone dry, or should dry counties be damp, allowing private clubs and counties which voted against liquor by the drink. Representative Don Duke.
You know how the folks voted. They were voting wet and dry in counties. My county carried it about 65%. I know how my folks want me to vote, and I'm not going to take pressure from any group or allow anyone to tell me how to vote. I'm going to vote the way the folks in my district want.
But I think we have far more important issues that need to be discussed and legislated this session. That we need to get on with our business. We need to accept the facts of life on this particular score and send a bill to the floor.
The House committee decided to allow the so-called bottle clubs in dry counties, making the counties, in reality, damp. It also voted to collect taxes on legal liquor sales by taxing each bottle that is sold so the state can get its money up front. Despite the mass confusion today, there was some progress made on the liquor by the drink legislation. The House and Senate appear to be ironing out some major differences. If the two can continue to close the gap, Oklahoma's new liquor laws could be on the books as early as February. At the state capitol, Stephanie Frederick, News 4.
income situation. Now, if you go...
If the request is approved, you can count on paying more for your monthly phone bill soon. Southwestern Bell is asking for a $61.1 million rate increase, and this is what it means. Your basic monthly service charge could go up by as much as $4.25. Bell officials say the reason for the request is in direct relation with their rate of return. Last December, Corporation Commission officials set the rate of return at 14.25%. During the last 9 months, Bell has only collected an 8.45% on their rate of return. Now they want more.
This case is simply an attempt to say, look, we're going to agree with you that 14.25 is reasonable for now, but the facts are that the rates you authorized in December are coming nowhere close to helping us achieve that authorized rate of return, and this is an attempt to set that right.
But the request is under attack from state lawyers who say Bell does not need the money, particularly in the area of basic monthly service charges.
If they need it, and if they granted it, they ought to find other alternatives to imposing it on rather than on the basic flat rate that the customer has to pay for.
The interim hearing is basically a prelude of things to come. Chances are good Bell will be back before the Corporation Commission by October of next year. Kevin Ogle, News 4.
When the starting gates were officially opened at Blue Ribbon Downs this summer, it was the beginning of more than just a horse race. Squawman Quincy was the victor of this first heat, and there were 713 winners after him. 11 of those winners were drugged.
Come on.
This is a young thoroughbred racehorse ready for a daily training exercise. If this horse develops the way his trainer predicts he will, it will mean big money for everyone involved. According to the trainer, this is a high-strung athlete. It has aches and pains like an athlete and sometimes needs medication. Bute is used on horses like this. Bute is equivalent to aspirin for humans. But if this horse won a pari-mutuel race in Oklahoma with Bute in his system, he would be disqualified.
Right now it's unfair, if a horse is sore, I'm not going to drug him to make or block a pain off to make him run, but if he's sore, there's no sense in just letting him stay sore. You've got to do something, and that's just the way I feel about it.
It's a feeling shared by other horsemen in Oklahoma, but it's the law. And right now the biggest question is not the rule, but rather how to enforce it. Some say punishing the owner would put pressure on trainers not to use drugs. Others say the idea simply won't work.
You never know what happens after they leave here. You can't stay there at the stall and watch horses all the time, see, who's going to come by and give them a shot of vitamins or whatever the case may be.
And there are other discrepancies. If a horse wins a race and tests later prove drugs were used, the trainer can still race other horses until his hearing date. Some people in the industry believe the trainer should be completely suspended until after the hearing proves either guilt or innocence. This was the first year for legal pari-mutuel in Oklahoma, and everyone agrees it was a learning experience. By the next fall season, there could be some big changes in the industry, changes not everyone will agree on. Kevin Ogle, News 4.
John Marshall High School has been sealed off to anyone but cleanup crews. This morning, workers began removing asbestos from the ceilings of several classrooms and the school auditorium. It's costing the school board close to $100,000 to have the material removed. The asbestos was discovered several weeks ago by a John Marshall teacher. What health officials found were ceilings with clumps of asbestos falling to the floor. What made it worse is the fact that all such ceilings were supposed to have been removed from schools 4 years ago. But somebody missed this one. Now all schools are being re-inspected to make sure they weren't missed. Air samples taken at John Marshall showed no threat to the students or staff, but the school board is moving to get the asbestos out of the school as quickly as possible. There does seem to be some disagreement about exactly how long the job will take. School officials said they understood all of the asbestos would be out by the time students return to school next week. But workers here say it could be the middle or end of January before the job is completed. Jeff Fowler, News 4, John Marshall High School.
Oh, the majority of the people are buying books. Some people are bringing books back. Books they've already gotten, books they've already read, books they just don't like, but we always take them back and try to get them whatever they do want.
We were prepared to present to the court evidence on the issue of probable cause, that is, evidence as to whether or not my client, J. Wesley Neal, is probably the person who committed that bank robbery and murder in Oklahoma.
Talking about, gentlemen, give me 8 and 10 feet. Now back up. Keep back.
With the process. I had my judicial family, i.e. the U.S. Attorney, the Chief Judge, make sure that it was in proper form and approve it, and then I honored the writ by giving custody of the two individuals in question to the state of Oklahoma.